Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Marilyn. And I do want to thank you and Sarah and the Juanita Poll Center for allowing me this opportunity. And I'm excited actually to share this information with everyone. My name again is Ruben, and I am with Home and Stay in Beaverton here at the Cascade Plaza. And the purpose of this presentation is to explain what in-home care actually is and possibly dispel any misnomers you might have heard about in-home care. This is not a sales presentation, although I am with Home Instead, but this is not a sales presentation. This is really informational information for you guys to get all your questions that you might have answered regarding home care. Before I start, I want to thank Mary Ann for all her questions. Thank you, Mary Ann. You helped me to build my presentation to be more effective, if you will. So I hopefully will address most of your questions during the presentation. And by the way, the goal of this presentation is to answer most common questions. So 90% of your questions hopefully will be answered during the presentation. But as Marilyn has already explained, if you have any questions throughout, just use the Q&A section down at the bottom of the screen. And we will have some open session as well at the very end where we can interact live. So with that being said, just one little bit of housekeeping. And that is that, actually she's already addressed that, so I'll just leave that alone. Let's not talk about that. We already talked about the fact that you're on mute, so you know that already. Okay, let's get into it. Let's talk about home care services and what are they? All right, let's see. There we go. Okay, what is home care? Home care is the non-medical and non-clinical personal services provided by certified and bonded caregivers. So this is not someone that calls you up from the yellow pages or whatever and wants to come into your home to be a home care agency. These folks are certified and bonded by the Home Instead corporate office. So just so you know, that is one of the prerequisites of providing in-home care from our organization, okay? Now, the basic services, this is the part that I think that gets a lot of folks maybe confused, I will say for the lack of a better word. These are the basic services, and also want to make a point that this is private pay. So I will give you some subsidizing options later on at the very end, but this is for the most part private pay. And basic services are to assist with activities of daily living. And you might have heard the term ADL. ADL, that's what that really means, activities of daily living. So that's the things like companionship. And this is very important right now, as you know, during the COVID pandemic. There's a lot of isolation and depression, and there are a lot that goes with that, which is kind of a presentation all by itself. But companionship is important. We get a lot of requests for that. And we can talk a little bit more about that a little later on as well as we get into the presentation. Personal assistance, that's another thing, that's personal care. Someone just might want, you know what, I'm retired, I'm tired of cooking, I don't want to cook anymore. I need someone to come and cook and take care of the dishes and things like that, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 hours a day. And on the companionship section there, I got a little fast there. Social engagement just simply means someone just need companionship, conversation. I need someone to play chess with me, someone to play bridge with me, and just someone to be there with me while I'm doing meals or things. Just again, someone just to make me not feel so isolated. Home services, that's light housekeeping, and I use the word light because we don't do our carpet. We don't do shampooing the carpets, and we don't take the drapes down and go outside and do the window cleaning and all that. But we do light housekeeping. We want your home to be neat and clean at all times, and that is one of the responsibilities of the caregiver as well. That includes dishes and laundry, changing the linen, doing all those things. Again, all the things that you would do in the course of daily living. We want to take care of all that for you. Transportation, If you have a doctor's appointment, we can either take you to the doctor appointment or you can drive us and we'll go with you to be there, whichever works for you. We also run errands. If you want us to go and do the grocery shopping, you can give us a list and we'll do the grocery shopping for you. If you want us to take you grocery shopping, we will take you grocery shopping. So whatever that means as far as transportation, we can provide that for you as well. Okay. And enhanced services. We also have some what we call enhanced services, specialized services by our certified caregivers. Couples care. It might be a couple, you and your husband, or if there's a male on the line, you and your wife. Both might want someone there in the house to do those things that we talked about, those daily living requirements. Alzheimer's and dementia care. All of our caregivers are trained in Alzheimer's and dementia care. It's a full day course that they have to pass. This is not a sit in and leave. You have to pass the course. If not, you'll come back and you take it again. But Alzheimer's and dementia care, we provide that as a special service. And also hospice and palliative care. We work with the hospice nurse, the palliative care nurse, or the case managers as well. And we also provide overnight care as well. So if there's an overnight need, we do have caregivers that are available to provide overnight care as well. So the caregivers, let's talk about caregivers. How do we find them? Where do they come from? Who are these caregivers? Well, that's a very good question. We do have a pretty strong network of reaching potential candidates that we reach out to, but we do also have a strong marketing effort to ask for individuals who love to work with seniors, who have a passion for working with seniors, or have experience working with seniors. And that's where we typically get our pool, if you will, of candidates for our caregiver position. Each caregiver, these are the requirements. They must clear criminal background checks. That's option number one. They must clear criminal background checks. Number two, their DMV record must be clean. No DUIs, DWIs, or whatever, nothing that will compromise their safety when driving a client or going and working for a client. So the DMV record must be impeccable. We do pre-employment drug screening. When they come into the office and they fill out the application and we sit through their interview process, before they leave this building, they must provide a drug test, a drug screening. So that is number one. Before we call them back for training, before we proceed with them as a candidate, we want that drug screening immediately. So that is number three. And number four, we ask for references. Obviously, we want to know, who did you work for before? What are the professional references that you have? And personal references. What do people say about you in a social setting, et cetera? Okay. Then our training. This is something that we are really excited about, actually, because we put a lot of effort and we pay the caregivers while they're in training. So we actually pay them to sit through our training, and we consider them as part of our employment team at that point. And the training is mandatory. So they have 20 hours of mandatory CEU, that's continued education unit training, in our professional caregiving classroom here in the plaza. So that is something that is required, and it is a certificate of completion, which means it is a pass or fail 20+ hour courses. So they must pass those courses before we will let them engage with our clients. Okay. There's sometimes confusion between home care and home health. You might have heard the two terms and thought they were interchangeable, and actually they're not at all interchangeable. They're two very different animals. Home care, again, is the non-medical, non-clinical care. And what that means is we don't do injections, we don't do insulin support, we don't do wound care, we don't provide skilled nurses, and we don't do physical therapy. So we don't do any of those things. And the home health industry, that's what they do. They do all those things that we don't do, which is the medical and clinical side of the in-home care. Where is home? We talk about home, in home and home. Home is wherever you call home. If it's your private residence, if you're in a retirement community, if you are in an independent living community, if you're in an assisted living community, um, that's your home. And I can explain that a little bit because some people say, well, if I'm in an assisted living community, why would I need in-home care? Well, sometimes assisted living communities provide a certain level of care within the assisted living environment, and you might want more. They might not do the dishes or the laundry or some of the things we talked about as far as us, and you might want someone to do that for you. They might not take you out on errands and allow you to have the freedom to come and go. And you might want permission to do that. So there are things that we provide that is in addition to any services that might be provided in those communities. And obviously, if you're in your home, that's easy. That's an easy one if you're in your home. Right? The process, what is the process for engaging an agency like Home Instead? Our process is we start off with a consultation. And this is very important. We have our client care team, and they are consultants. Actually, they are medical assistants. Both of them happen to be medical assistants. And what you do, you call into the office and you say, I just like to have a consultation. There's no charge for a consultation. We'll come out and sit with you for an hour, hour and a half, whatever amount of time we need. And we'll meet with you. We like to meet with the family to discuss excuse me, to discuss and record the client's needs. And an example of that would be a daughter has just gotten a new job, and she moved to Washington, Seattle, and mom is here in Beaverton, and she wants to make sure mom is being taken care of because she's no longer around. So she might call us and say, I'm going to need some in-home care for mom, and what I would like to do is arrange a consultation. So the daughter will come into town, we'll sit down with her, we'll talk about what her expectations are, and then we'll have a one-on-one meeting with mom to find out what mom's expectations are and what's appropriate for her. And we perform a home safety evaluation before we leave to make sure the home is safe, and we want to make sure that everybody's aware of things like maybe there should be a bar in the shower bar is not there, things like that. But that's just, again, part of the process. And then we develop a care plan. That care plan includes all the things we recorded from the conversation we had with the family, all the conversations we had with the client. We put all those things in a care plan and we map it out to represent the profile for that particular client. So that is the process. That is called the consultation. And again, there's no charge for that. It takes usually an hour, hour and a half, depending on the complexity of the client. And we're going to look at some client cases at the very end, so you'll get to see some scenarios of how we work with clients and families, and it'll make a little bit more sense once you see some examples of that. The process for assigning a caregiver. So how do I know the type of caregiver I'm going to get? How do I know who the caregiver is going to be and things like that? Well, that's a very good question, and that is probably one of the most common questions. So the first thing we do, obviously, is review that care plan that we discussed. So all the information that we recorded from the consultation will be brought to the scheduler, and the scheduler will review that care plan, and then the scheduler will match a caregiver with a personality that is compatible with that client. And we have clients, for example, a client might say, I don't want anyone here who talks a lot. I don't like anyone talking. I'm not a talker, and I don't want to hear anyone chattering all the time. So we want to make sure we know that, okay? Caregiver skills, we want to make sure that we match the skills. If there's someone who has special mobility challenges, we want to make sure that we have someone who has a lot of experience with assisting with mobility. Then we want to match the caregiver with the client's gender request. Some clients only want a male or a female, whichever the case is. And then, of course, we want to make sure we take that in consideration as well. And then we introduce the caregiver to the family and to the client. So at the beginning of the shift, We want to make sure that, and we can do this, we can do actually a pre-meeting as well if that's necessary. We can also arrange a pre-meeting, but we'll arrange for the caregiver to meet the family and the client. And the purpose of that, of course, is to make sure that there's no surprises. We can discuss anything that might be of concern, whatever that might be, early on in the process. But we want to make sure that, again, this is a very smooth relationship building process for both the client and for the caregiver as well. We want the caregiver to make the client feel comfortable, and we want the client to be comfortable with the caregiver. Well, we're in strange times right now. we're in, this is a place we never thought we would be. This slide, I added this slide, of course, because there was no such thing as this slide before. But personal protective equipment, PPE is what it's commonly called a lot of. Personal protective equipment, all of our caregivers are provided with PPE supplies. So they have everything, the gloves, the masks, the shields, the drapes, anything they need that is required to provide the necessary protection for our clients. So they are, not only do they have the equipment, but they are trained on the proper usage of all their protective equipment. And all the caregivers, vaccines are made available to all our caregivers. All caregivers are considered part of the care, the medical plan for care, and they're all allowed to have their vaccines. And all of our caregivers, the vaccines are made available to all of them. Okay, I'm moving. Should I check the chat box? I didn't think to do that. Oh, okay. I'll see. Okay, good. None so far. Okay. Client cases. Let's just talk. Let's look at some potential client cases. And I changed the names just in case you might know who this person is. I don't think of all the hundreds of people in Tiger and Tualatin, then you would know this. But this person is Robert. Robert's profile. Okay. First thing we notice and highlight is that Robert does not want to be called Bob. Don't call him Bob. His name is Robert. He doesn't want to be called Bob. So we want to make sure the caregiver doesn't make the mistake of calling him Bob. So Robert is a retired dentist. He wants companionship. He's very independent. He likes to read and play chess. He has a small dog that he likes to take for a walk. So this is the information that we gathered from our care plan. Okay, this is obviously an encapsulation of that. It would be a lot more comprehensive detail, but these are the bullet points of that, that care consultation, okay? So now let's find a caregiver. Let's find a caregiver for Robert. Okay, so we found a male, excuse me, we didn't find, we chose, good, better word. We chose a male caregiver. A male caregiver kind of understands the male independence thing. A guy knows this, what that independence thing is all about. So we want to use a male caregiver in that case. This particular caregiver knows how to play chess. He's not very good at it, but he likes to play, he knows how to play chess and will play chess with Robert. This caregiver is quiet. He goes about his business. He takes care of the home. He takes care of the client, and he speaks when he's spoken to. So Robert will like someone who is not a talker. Okay. Again, this person is very neat and very tidy. He makes sure that everything is in perfect condition and in perfect, aesthetically perfect when he leaves his shift. He likes dogs. He actually owns a dog. So if Robert decides to not walk the dog and have the caregiver walk the dog, the caregiver has experience doing that. So we made that match based on that criteria, okay? Let's look at another case, Here's Evelyn, Evelyn's case. Evelyn actually has a nickname. She goes by Eve. So Evelyn likes to be called Eve. Evelyn is a retired school teacher. She's experiencing early stages of dementia. She often thinks she's still teaching. She thinks she's in the classroom or she has to go to class. So we have to help her with that. She likes to cook, but needs help in the kitchen because she forgets sometimes that the stove is on, or she forgets to turn the stove off. So she needs help in the kitchen, but she likes to cook. And she likes to shop for groceries. She likes to do her own grocery shopping. So in this case, we want to find someone who can be compatible with Evelyn. So we chosen a female to provide companionship. Okay. This female loves cooking and being in the kitchen. She has a big family, and that's not on here. You didn't know this part, but anyway, she has a big family, and she likes to cook for her family. So cooking is something that she would enjoy doing with Evelyn. She has this caregiver has passed her dementia training, so she is certified dementia trained, and she is recognized. She gets commendations often for her patience with dementia clients. So this is what we feel would be a perfect match, someone that's patient, someone that loves to shop, loves to cook. So she and Evelyn will be they'll have a lot of fun together, okay? Man, I'm getting done a little faster here. Here's Susan. Susan is a retired Intel supervisor. She had a fall. And she's recovering from hip surgery. She's very frustrated because she's always busy and doing things, and now she's immobile. She can't move around as much. So she's very frustrated with that. She likes a very neat and clean environment, and she's very social. She likes to talk. I didn't know people at Intel talked. Anyway, so let's see, who do we assign for Susan? Okay, so we chose a female. And this female we chose was similar in age to Susan. So the conversation would be a little bit more natural for someone who's of similar age. The conversations would be a little bit more natural and easier. She's very delightful and engaging. Matter of fact, she's a little funny sometimes. So she'll definitely have Susan laughing. She's a former CNA. So she's a former nurse's assistant. So she can help if there's any things that might be out of the norm that she'll be able to detect as a nursing assistant. So she'll have that little nursing background with her as well. And she's also recognized for her attention to housekeeping. Again, she likes to make sure the house is clean and neat and safe. So she would be, we felt, would be an excellent candidate to support Susan through her early stages of dementia. And so that's kind of a flavor for how we take the care plan, take the consultation, convert that to a care plan, and then we match the profiles to the client. Now, a lot of some questions will be, well, how much does this cost, and can I afford this? The cost typically on an average is about $36 an hour. We request a minimum of 3 hours per day and 2 3-hour shifts per week. So 6 hours per week, or if you want to do say 5-hour shift, you can do just a 5-hour shift per week. So those are the minimums, but that is sort of the price structure, if you will, around that. Now, there are some subsidizing resources available to you, and I don't have them because this is the beginning of the new year, and some of them have changed, and I didn't want to give you any information that was misleading. But Washington County provides some subsidizing resources. Veterans Affairs provides subsidizing resources as well. And Medicaid also provides subsidizing resources. And if you have long-term care, in-home care is covered by your long-term care insurance if you have long-term care insurance. So anyway, those are some resources for you. And just to let you know how we interact with our community, we are part of the Beaverton, Tigard, Tualatin, and Sherwood communities. And we support Meals on Wheels. We very much support them, actually. We contribute quite heavily to the Meals on Wheels programs. Alzheimer's Association, Parkinson's of Oregon, and the Veterans Administrations. We support all these organizations financially, as well as by participating in their events. So that tells you a little bit about Home Instead. And I'm going to ask Marilyn to maybe let me know what's going on. And with that being said, this took a little bit faster than I realized it was going to go quite that fast. But anyway, that's who we are. That's what we do. That's what in-home care is. If you have any questions for me or us, I should say, my phone number is there. If you want to go to the website, you can go onto our local website, and that will answer a lot of questions for you and also give you access to our team, and you can get to see who we all are. And that is a resource for you as well. And with that being said, Marilyn, I had no idea it was going to move quite that quickly, but maybe there's some questions that I can answer.
Yeah, it looks like we do have one question to start us off with. Someone is asking, how many days a week did you say for a home care person to come in?
Yeah, so you have options. Actually, now I gave you the limit. The minimum is you can have 2 3-hour shifts a week. So that's 2 days, 3 hours each day. Or you can have 1 5-hour day shift. That's 5 hours for that week. That's the minimum. Now there is no limit. I mean, we have many 24-hour clients that we're just there all day, every day. And something else I should mention just for clarification, we try to keep the same caregiver. So if we have a caregiver assigned to you and that they met you and they met your family, we would like for that caregiver to be the one that you consistently see for comfort, obviously, and compatibility. If in fact that's not the case, we will let you know in advance, and we will explain who the next person is, and we'll do all that for you. But the ideal situation would be for you to have the same caregiver each time.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other questions? You can feel free to type them into the Q&A section. Oh, we got someone. So for transportations, for errands and appointments, does caregiver use their vehicle?
Oh, very good. I used mine. Okay, yeah. Very good. I'm glad somebody asked that question because I forgot to mention it. Thank you. Great question. They can do either. All of our caregivers, and I skipped this, so thank you so much for asking. Caregivers, in addition to having the perfect DMV report, they have to have insurance, and we insure them as well. But they can drive your car if you prefer, because I know, like my father-in-law has a really bad back, and he's got his car with a special seat that goes up in the backrest and all these things in it that makes him like he's a statue. But anyway, he might prefer using his own car. So we would do that. We would use your car or the caregiver. They always have nice, clean, safe vehicles to drive themselves. So they can drive you in your vehicle or they can drive you in their vehicle. Thank you for that question.
Great. We have another question. The question is, are there price increases?
No, and as a matter of fact, it's perfect timing because we just had it for the let's get right to the point, right? Yeah, we just had the 2021 price increase. And let me just say this is sort of off the record, but I guess on the record since we're recording this, but our caregivers, we take very good care of our caregivers. They are not paid minimum wages. And I can't tell you what the number is, of course, but they are not paid minimum wages. We provide them with health insurance, with dental insurance through health, and health is through Kaiser. I'm not sure who dental is through, so I won't say that out loud. But anyway, we provide them with health insurance through Kaiser, and we also provide them with online and telephonic health care as well. So we take very, very, very good care of our caregivers. But no, there would be no price increases anytime soon. If there is, the notification goes out in advance, and some of the rates are grandfathered in, if that is something that's in the middle of your contract. So, and there are no contracts, excuse me, I should say that as well. There are no contracts. This is not contractual. If you want to do it 1 week and stop, you can do that. If you want to do it 2 weeks and to stop, you can do that as well.
Okay, great. We have 2 more questions. Do caregivers have the strength to move around wheelchairs or scooters?
Let me see if I get that. Do you have the strength to move around? Well, oh yeah, of course. Okay. Oh, absolutely. That's a very good question. That's part of the mobility training. We now, the state of Oregon does not allow caregivers to do lifting above 25 pounds. Now, that sounds a little weird because everybody weighs more than 25 pounds. But the idea is that we are to assist in lifting you to your feet or to your wheelchair or to your walker. We are not able to physically pick you up dead weight. So I think that makes sense. I hope I'm saying that the right way. So we assist you onto your feet, and we assist you into whatever the mobility challenges we have. But the answer is yes.
Great.
Do HMOs partner with them for a price reduction? I don't think so. Kaiser, Kaiser, I'm familiar with Kaiser, and I know Kaiser has their own program, and they will occasionally outsource it to us. And in that case, the answer would be yes, but you would have to obviously check with them for a more accurate answer. No, I did not say $26 an hour. It's a good number though. No, it's $36 an hour. $36 an hour is the minimum. And depending on the level of service you need, the most you'll ever be is by about 38, but 36 is the average minimum.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any last minute questions? We still have time. You can type them into the chat or into the Q&A function. And of course, I will make sure to get the contact information out for if you have additional questions we come up with after this.
Awesome.
So let's give everybody just like 1 or 2 more minutes.
Oh, no, please let them
think about any questions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Typing can be a little bit, everybody needs a minute. Okay, we do have another question. Okay. All right. The question is there a price reduction for 24-hour days?
Well, that's a good question. I laugh because it's a little differently. It goes in a different direction. 24-hour service, because of the overnight part of it, it's a little bit more expensive because of the overnight. But that can be worked into a standardized price for long term. So I know we get lots of requests from Providence Hospital System where we assist them with things, and they're typically 24 hours, and we can work. But the answer is there is not a discount. Let me just be blunt and say there's not a discount for 24-hour service.
Great, thank you.
And please, please take advantage of the free consultation. Again, call into the office, arrange a free consultation. And you can ask a lot more intimate questions that you might be more comfortable with, with the home care consultant who comes out.
Great, good to know. Does anyone else have any questions? Of course, you can certainly type them into the Q&A function or into the chat. Or if you are unable to type, you can call me on my phone, which most of you have, but I'm also going to put it in here. And that's for in case you would rather say them aloud to me. Sometimes it's a little hard to type.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I'm very patient. By the way, I before I took my position here in the office as one of the managers in the office, I insisted on being a caregiver. So I had 2 clients before I started my job, and I had just an amazingly awesome time. I felt just so blessed to be able to be a caregiver. So I had 2 male clients that I worked with, and it was just a lot of fun.
Okay, let's give everyone 1 more minute, and then we will wrap this up. I do want to say thank you so much, Ruben, for joining us with this and for putting together this presentation and talking to us about this and answering everyone's questions. Really appreciate You just need
Yeah,
time to
yeah.
assist us.
No,
We have
Marilyn,
another question.
Awesome. Let's see.
Um,
Oh, you're laughing. Let me look and see what it says. My math says 860. No, no, that's way too much. How is that? Okay, that's, you know what, that's a very analytical question. And I told.
Let's go ahead and read that out loud. I'll read it for everybody who's watching.
Okay, go. Sorry, go.
Okay, so we have someone who did a little bit of math, and the math came to $864 a day, which is $25,920 a month for 30 days. And they're asking, how does that, compare to versus like a nursing home?
A nursing home, exactly. That's a very good question. Now that's 864. I'm assuming you're doing 24 hours a day times 30. Sounds like. That's got to be that's a huge number. So that's got to be, because if you think you're talking $36, you're talking 3 hours, you're talking only $100 a day. So yeah, that must be okay.
I think they're talking about 24/7 care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what. Okay, yeah, that gets a little. That does. I'm not gonna lie, that gets a little pricey, but depending on the type of community you're in, and some of you might already know this, but on an average, if you're in a nursing home, and I know this for a fact because I did the research, I just happened to be doing the research before this call today, and it's about $90,000 a year, about $90,000 a year to be in a nursing home. Now, understand you're talking nursing home, which means you have a health professional that's on site. They probably can do physical therapy with you. You're getting meals every day, et cetera, et cetera. So you're talking about a pretty comprehensive environment if you're in a nursing home. Now, there are options below nursing home. There's assisted living, which will probably run in the 60-ish, 60, 75,000 range. And then, of course, independent living, depending on how luxurious you want to live, that can be pricey. But home care by far is about, on an average, about 50% less than you would pay if you were in a community. I don't like using the word facility because that sounds like you're confined. But anyway, in a community, whether it's assisted living or independent living or whatever. But it's usually about half that price to do in-home care. Because remember, you might not need someone there 24 hours. You might think you need someone there 24 hours initially, and then you realize, well, I just want somebody here overnight in case something happens during the night. I don't need anyone here. They can, after they prepare breakfast, they can go home. They can come back later on in the afternoon. So we would want to talk to you before you decide on 24-hour care. Because that is kind of unusual to need that much care if you're able to get around and stuff like that. But if that is in fact the case, it would be about half the price of being in a nursing home.
Great, thank you. All right. So if anyone has any further questions, and for the person who, we do have another question. If something comes up, are they willing to call 911 to get assistance if needed?
If something comes, I'm assuming that means if something comes up while the caregiver is there. Mm-hmm. No, we're trained to do all that. We're trained to call 911. We know what to look for, what symptoms to look for. We'll call 911. They'll also call the office. And I mentioned something else I forgot to mention. Registered nurse. We have a registered nurse, an RN, that is available for consultation as well, not direct consultation with the client, but that consults with our caregivers. So if a caregiver has a medical question, we have an RN that is available to answer any medical questions. And the RN also takes care of medication administration as well. So they take care of the medication administration as well.
Great. Terrific.
Oh, you know what, Marilyn? I'm sorry. Let me just. I think I mentioned that in passing, and I need to put a little bit more emphasis on that. We don't give the medication. We administer the medication. So that means we will take the purple pills, the pink pills, and the blue pills. We will set them aside. We will put them in the right day. so that you'll know when they're to be taken, and we'll make sure that we remind you to take them. But we don't put them in your mouth. I mean, I know that sounds a little technical, but that's the state of Oregon law, if you will. So we will set them aside for you. We will organize them for you, and we will remind you to take them. So we do medication administration.
Great, thank you. Good clarification. Okay, so if you do have any more questions after this, if you're not able to type them before we finish up here, everybody has my email address. You can also reply back to the email that Zoom sent out that was like 1 hour until, you know, this event, whatever. If you reply back to that, it comes to me. And of course, I will send out a follow-up email either tomorrow or Monday, depending on how quickly I can get this posted. That will have a link to this video, as well as information on how to reach Ruben if you are in need of some more chances to get questions answered. Okay.
Perfect. Perfect.
So,
all right.
Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you again to Ruben, and thank you to Home
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for joining.